I still dance to that. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to wherever you are on this Gooner planet. And hello to everybody that are top of the league. I haven't said that in for ages. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. We're back, the Premier League's back, all's good in the world. Virtually 100% wonderful weekend for the Arsenal, which we will get to in a moment. But first of all, welcome back to my brother, podcast brother, Cookie. Hello, my lovely.
Hello, hello. How are we all?
We're good. We're top of the league, so we're good. Nice to see you back and have you beside me because our other brother is down under in New Zealand having the time of his life. So he'll be back in the next couple of weeks as well. Um, Joining us, friend of the show, friend of all of us, Mr. James Cool J Johnstone. How are you, my lovely?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Like you said, how can you complain when you're top of the league? I mean, there will be some that will, but for the rational people, how
I
can you
think
complain?
there's been a clip going around, isn't there, of someone that's already been complaining? I won't name names.
Oh yeah, well we
I
all know.
wonder who it is. I wonder
Let's
who it
let's
is.
let's not go there.
We're not doing any negativity tonight. There is no reason to. So, welcome to everybody in the chat room. Welcome to everybody that's listening to us on audio. And isn't it lovely that the Interdole is finally over? I'm sure we'll have another one soon. By the sounds of it, we've only got one match in January. I didn't even know this. So, let's just enjoy it while we've got the football back. And let's certainly enjoy it. Let's certainly enjoy it because yesterday, wow. I tell you, a mix of emotions. So let's just start with everything. I was really, really pleased with the lineup. It was lovely to see Erdegaard back and Jesus and Martinelli and Saka and everybody fell back. I'm missing Partey. Still think we need him in midfield, but generally you got Tomiyasu. Felt good, didn't it, James Johnstone? I know I'm going to do this all night, JJ. I'm calling you JJ.
Your government naming me. I feel
I
like
just I can't have both of you, James. It does
I
my head
know.
in.
Well, you asked us both to be on, so it's self-inflicted. Yeah, no. When that lineup come out, obviously I put one out the night before, like I normally do. It's completely different,
Oh,
but
was it?
I got no complaints about that whatsoever. For me, very, very attacking lineup on paper. Obviously, didn't work out that way. But, I think Cookie, me and you, we had a chat about it, didn't we, on the actual post where we said, I think it's something like we got 10 games in 37 or something days. So it's all about managing that squad to the best, especially with all of them back. I mean, I think that's the first time second time this season he's played his, the front four that we would all go, oh yeah, that's, Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard is the front four that we all want to see. And I think that's the second time this season that he's been allowed to do it. So, you got to be happy when all that comes back. And it's just a case of, like we've said, I think defensively this season where we're a bit, we're a year older, Declan Rice contributes massively to it as well. I think the re-emergence again of how Tomiyasu's been, because he himself admitted he had a bit of a dip, but he's come back and I think he's been absolutely amazing this season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was a combination of how well he's been playing, but plus the arrival of Timber. And okay, Timber's probably out for the season. There was the report in the week that he could be actually out for the season now because there's another little reoccurrence of something that they've spotted. But I think all of that has made Zinchenko a much better defensive player than he has been. We all know what he does going into the middle and how well he can contribute. But I think defensively, especially these last two games, the Burnley at home and this one against Brentford, I've seen a side to Zinchenko that I didn't believe was there. And that for me is impressing me as well.
We're talking about the defensive part of it. When you say about Rice, it's like the Adams, Keown, Vieira. It's like the Saliba, Gabriel, Rice. I mean, Cookie, Rice, I mean, honestly, he's such an incredible player and so important to us, and so is our defence. And actually, someone asked me on Twitter yesterday who wasn't an Arsenal fan, and he said, "Do you think if Ramsdale wouldn't have made his errors last year, that we would have won the league?" I went, "It's nothing to do with Ramsdale. It's to do with the fact that Saliba wasn't fit and Partey wasn't fit. They're so important to us, aren't they, Cooks?"
Yeah, I mean, Saliba, Gabriel, for me, it's the best partnership in the league, and you've only got to look at the defensive statistics. We do have the best defense in the league at the minute, and I think that's testament to not just those two, but guys like Tomiyasu that can fill in and play, left back, right back, centre back, wherever we need them to play. But also, some Jakob Kivior, who stepped in for the game against Sheffield United and kept a clean sheet in that game. So to have players that can come in and the level not to drop so massively is absolutely huge. And it's interesting what you say, JJ, about Zinchenko adding that defensive side to his game, because I had real concerns about him earlier on in the season. I think it was Chelsea away where he might have played in that game, and I just felt, that he wasn't the guy to play left back for us. But I think since Tomiyasu's come into the team and shown that, he can own that left back role from a defensive standpoint, it has made Zinchenko go, my place in this team isn't quite guaranteed. And I would say even Brentford away from home, I'd probably have still gone with Tomiyasu at left back in that game. But to be able to play Zinchenko at left back and not really see any issues there from a defensive point of view, I think it suited him in a way, because Brentford play with wing backs and they're not really going to, attack that area of the pitch so much. But he looked very comfortable. Do have to kind of say, though, that it was an error of his that led to his incredible goal line clearance, but we might touch on that later.
We will. Yeah,
But
we're going to come to that.
yeah, he had a good game, and it's just great that our defence is, solid as a rock at the minute, because we've had years gone by where, I can't remember the last really solid defence we had. I think you're going back maybe a decade to Mertesacker and Koscielny. Ever since then, we've had blokes like, the original Gabriel in, if people remember him. We've had Socrates, we've had David Luiz, and it's never quite been perfect, whereas now it just feels pristine and prestige.
And lovely, doesn't it? With Ben White, with Tomiyasu, with Zinchenko as well. I totally get that. Let's talk about the goalkeeper, because I could keep saying we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. We might as well just talk about it now. Ramsdale played, and we think, most of us think, he only played because Raya was eligible. And I felt for him big time. And at some point during that game, when Brentford fans were singing not a nice song to him and stuff like that, I really wanted the Arsenal fans to get behind him. I couldn't hear it so much, but apparently they did, and he thanked them on social media today. The boy must be struggling big time with being out, and I'll go into his father in a moment, but being out and then coming back, but knowing you're only back because the other goalkeeper can't play, JJ, his confidence is on the floor. And then he goes and makes a mistake. But two goalkeepers that day in the Liverpool Man City match also made a mistake. Goalkeepers make mistakes. He got his foot caught in the grass, didn't he? And it looked like he got swiveled, studded down. And like Carl and I were arguing about it. I said, maybe his confidence has affected him. I don't know. I don't know. What's your take on it?
As much as I'm glad he got a clean sheet, and you could see afterwards the amount of players that ran over to him and had a moment. It looked as though he was about to break down in tears, the guy. Yeah. He looked very, very emotional at the end. And I think, again, that's a case of, like you've said, he knows that he's not playing again for a very, very long time, unless something happens to David Raya, and touch wood, it doesn't. I don't wish any of our players to get injured. He knows that he's probably not going to play for a significant amount of time, and that could well be his last ever game for the club. I don't know necessarily about that, because I don't know in January where you're going to get that move, because I think a lot of people will want to do it on a loan with an option like we've done with Raya, whereas we will want the money now. So I think it's a sad situation, but at the same time, you've not done anything. And I mean this for any player that comes in any position. You have not shown anything there in that game to me that you deserve to be starting over him anyway. You got to put out a bit more than what he did. And again, it goes to me thinking that he does not have the minerals to come back from this. I originally thought with Raya coming in, he's going to knuckle down and go, right, okay, I'll have some. Okay, if this is what you want, because of his strength of character and everything else like that. And I'm sorry, I don't see that strength of character. I see a person here that, again, you say you want to touch on what's happened. I think that's completely, that doesn't happen unless he approves his father to do that. And that to me is stroking a little bit of, is there interest from other clubs? Let's create a bit of unrest. And then added to that as well, after that England game the other night where he didn't even play, there was a post on his Instagram all about how happy he is that England's qualified and how important England is to him. And again, that to me is planned, because it's like England's so important that if I'm not playing, I won't go to a Euro. And even if he goes to a Euros, he's not playing a game for England, because Pickford's always going to be number one regardless. Southgate's not going to budge on that.
No.
And I'm just like, you're creating little situations there. If you saw that after the game, soon as Mikel was asked about it, he stopped smiling. He was smiling, talking about the team, and all of a sudden it was Stonewall, and it was, no, my team done well, not Aaron Ramsdale did well. He did not want to answer that question or deal with that question.
He didn't talk about the goalkeeper, and he's going to keep getting those questions thrown at him. And everyone knows that I am probably one of the biggest Mikel Arteta fans out there. I really am, since day one. However, with this situation, and I slightly disagree with you, JJ, because I do think he's given his all, but he hasn't been allowed to play to give his all. So he played against West Ham, and that was it. He cheered.
But look at the goal he conceded against West Ham.
But his confidence is obviously
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's shocking. Okay. That goal that he conceded was shocking.
So, as I said about being a Mikel Arteta fan, I would love to sit down with him and ask him why. Because I keep saying this, at the beginning of the season, Ramsdale didn't even come into my head. I didn't think we need a new goalkeeper. I was thinking about a striker or a midfielder. But what I will just say is, and I'm going to go to Cookie with this, he's not a robot. His confidence is on the floor. You make mistakes when you start to doubt yourself. He's not wanted. And I will say this now, that the minute that interview came out, I said to Cookie and to Chris that if we were offered his father, I would not have wanted him to come on the channel, because I could just see how it was going to go. I've not watched the interview. I've heard excerpts about it, because when you're a parent, you may not parent in the right way, because all you're doing is protecting. And I live in a slightly naive world, JJ. I don't think it was planned, because it hasn't done Aaron an ounce of good anywhere. It was picked up by every single press, every single thing, and I don't think it's done any good.
That's what they wanted to happen.
But I don't believe that. Okay, I don't believe that, because because other clubs looking at Ramsdale would not want that sort of, how do you put it, that sort of interference.
Yes, they would, because
interfering.
Like Carl's just put in the chat, stuff like this tanks the value of a player. That's a goalkeeper that should be 60.
So
that's a goalkeeper, Amanda, that should be £65 million. He was the other professionals in the league last season voted him as the best keeper they come up against, and he come 8th in the best goalkeepers in the world. But now there's all this.
Tank his price, because we won't accept.
We don't want to tank his price, but stuff like this does tank his price. But because then it gets him more of a chance to move. Because what clubs in January are going to fork 65 million quid for a goalkeeper? The best we're going to get for him now is between 35 to 40 million. Because when he's come in and played, he's been terrible, and because of this unrest that's been created by him allowing his parent, it's bad from both of them. The fact that his dad's gone and done it is bad, and the fact that his dad would not go on unless he gave him the consent to do it.
But you don't know it go on, but he might not have known what he was going to say. That's just my point.
No, he gave him his blessing and said, "Dad, you go on there and do."
You don't know that, and I don't know that.
So you can just tell.
I'm gonna move on to Cookie, because we could argue about this all day, because we don't know, and generally
it's so obvious, Amanda.
But it's not a good thing. It's not benefited him, so it's not great.
Well, it has if it gets him to move and he plays every week again as a number one, doesn't it? It's done exactly what he wanted.
But who's going to be our number 2 then if he goes?
Well, we'll go and find one. We'll go buy another one for cheap.
I don't agree. Okay, well look, Cookie. I'm bringing you in now, because we're talking about Ramsdale. I think we agree the fact that we don't feel he's been treated so nice. I don't feel so. And as I said, I'm a massive Arteta fan. Don't know what goes on behind the scenes, haven't got a clue. I don't think the interview with Ian Wright helped either, if I'm honest, when he said about his concentration levels. But I love him and I'm sad what's going on. And I was really, really pleased that he played yesterday. And at the end, that photo of him being cuddled by all the players shows how much he means to them.
You two guys really crack me up. I feel like I'm just on the edge of a burning fire here, warming my hands, just waiting to get my little bit of insight in. But, I mean, look, I'm glad we're getting this out of the way early because judging by the way you two guys have gone off, this could have gone on for absolutely bloody ages. But I'm, inclined to agree with you, JJ, with regards to the interview. Surely Nick Ramsdale would have to say to his son, do you mind if I go and do this? And we don't know about, any decent parent would do that. I'd have thought, you wouldn't go and do that on a whim. I'd expect my dad to ask me. I'm sure you would all expect your parents to ask you if they were going to do something like that. That would.
I wouldn't let my dad go on any podcast without me. That is for sure.
Well, exactly. I mean, especially when it impacts your professional career.
Exactly.
Like if my dad went on a podcast talking about my professional career, I'd be like, nah, probably best because you don't actually know what I really do that well. So maybe we just put that on the back burner for the time being. But look, we don't know the ins and outs of that podcast. We don't know whether Nick Ramsdale was offered to the podcast or the podcast went and approached him. There's loads of different variables that could have gone into that we just won't find out. But that just added fuel to the fire of a situation that was already, really bubbling away. And it's just created this situation that we're in now. And I think, this won't be Ramsdale's last game for me. I do think he will get another opportunity. If it was up to me, I would play him again on Wednesday night against Lens. I think that would be another great game for him to play because we win that and we're at home. We should do. Lens, have been decent in the Champions League, but we want to get revenge for when we went out to France and didn't win that game. Perfect opportunity for Ramsdale. And, we if we do win that, and let's say David Raya does play, we've topped the group anyway. So we've got a dead rubber against PSV, which I would expect Ramsdale to play. So I still think he gets opportunities at Arsenal. But I think there's a very real scenario where come January, because he's a big personality, I don't think he's going to accept another 6 months on the bench with the Euros looming. Even if he won't play, he'll want to be on that plane going to the Euros. So I fully expect or would anticipate if he's still nowhere near the team at that point, us to let him go with an option on a loan. I expect that to be a very realistic situation. Then for us to bring in maybe a very experienced goalkeeper on a 6-month contract with the view to then signing an Ortega-like player in the summer window, or we're analysing that player already and we're going to try and bring them in the January window. But I also wouldn't be at all surprised if we ended up with someone like Fabianski on a 6-month loan deal from West Ham. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But we need someone that can be a solid number two because we've got two very good goalkeepers at the club. Yesterday's game just created even more of a situation, if anything. It was starting to just ever so slightly die down. David Raya was becoming the undisputed number one, whereas now we've just got it all bubbled right to the top again. I think with regards to his performance, second half, I thought he was really positive. I really liked Ramsdale in the second half. First half, just like a guy totally bereft of confidence. I think that error he made where he tried to kick the ball out, and if it wasn't for the Rice goal line clearance, Brentford should have definitely gone 1-0 up. I would sympathise ever so slightly in the fact that he does dither on the ball, no getting away from that. He was maybe lacking in options that were on. But that second one where he just throws the ball into the ground, I'm sorry, I just can't forgive that. That's just really poor. That's like school day number one stuff that you don't do. But it was a very mixed game from him, but he's come out of it with a clean sheet. That can only do good things for him. And with regards to the post-match interview, I think Arteta handled it really badly. I love Arteta, but he should have just come out and said, he had a few risky moments, but he came out of it with a clean sheet. We love the guy, and we're all really pleased for him. But deflecting away from the question, it could be because, number one, he's really angry with him, and he knows that if Brentford take one of those chances, we could very well lose this game. Number two, it could be because he's so sick of the question that he just doesn't want to answer it. But I do think it was interesting that in the actual post-match conference, he really bigged Ramsdale up. So maybe it was just a case of in that moment, he was just so sick to death of talking about it, whilst also being frustrated by the errors he'd made. But I'm not going to go on about it anymore. I'll leave it there.
No, but I understand that. But he's made this situation. Every press
Yeah,
person on
yeah.
the
But if you,
planet wants to ask him that question, and I feel, and as I keep saying, I adore Arteta. I don't ever say a bad word because I've always defended him. In this situation, I'd like to sit down with him and say, "You've caused it. You need to speak to the press. You need to answer the question," because he turned frosty. He sort of turned into like how dare you answer me that question, JJ? It was sort of, I feel like, like he felt like, don't ask me that question anymore, but you're not answering it and you're
yeah,
not giving him
yeah.
chances.
But this isn't the first time this sort of thing's happened. I know a few people that are in the football journalism game, and they've said, look, we all do appreciate him, respect him, and he's got such a brain. But they said just for whatever reason, and it could be that he's still very young and he's still quite. This is still his first job. He always feels like It feels like he's being attacked. Like the way he acts is that you're going for him personally sometimes, and I feel he's a bit frosty like that, a bit like Pep is. Pep sometimes with his responses is a bit
Mm.
like, "Oh, hang on, they're asking this is quite a basic question, but you're taking this as it's a attack on you and
But
your
he could have
character."
But he could have just really just it would never have blown up, would it? If he'd have just
But
gone, yeah,
but the
pleased to
thing,
see him back, got a clean
yeah,
sheet and
I
moved
know,
on. He didn't
I know,
have to. He went, my team did well,
yeah,
or the team. And it's like, you're not. I understand what people are saying when they say Raya is not a massive improvement on Ramsdale. I'm not here to slag off David Raya. He's an Arsenal player, and so is Aaron Ramsdale. I'm just not. I don't normally sit here and say I'm questioning what he's doing, and
but
I
look,
don't
but
think it's right.
look at David Raya yesterday. Look at his body language the whole game.
What it
He
felt
kn-
awkward.
Well, he was eating a chocolate bar second half. He come out with the bloody, what was it, the grenade energy or a twirl or something. It looked
Did he have
massive.
to be there though, James? Because he
Well,
can't
yeah,
play.
yeah, but still, he's going to support. Obviously he's there to watch the team that he's at now and support them, and also maybe interact with his previous club and everything else. But at the same
Mm,
time, that's a guy that knows, regardless of what happens here, my position's under threat. And that's exact sort of problem that we had last year with Ramsdale, when in the running he did make mistakes because he wasn't concentrating for the full 90 minutes of a game, because he knew that underneath him is Matt Turner, and Matt Turner's never going to challenge me. So now he's been given a push that you would think motivate him and everything else, and he's taken it a completely different way. Okay, yeah, it's a sad situation, but at the same time, like I said, you've got to show more. You've got to show a bit more than what you have when you've been dropped, and he's done nothing to show that he should be playing instead of David Raya at the moment. If you remember, we had a game against Aston Villa, and I think Ramsdale had an injury and Leno played in it. Now, I was never Leno's biggest fan. I said, as long as this guy's our goalkeeper, we are not going to finish top four, let alone win a league. Well, he come in that game against Aston Villa and was absolutely magnificent. And I was like, do you know what? What a professional. He hasn't gone out there and got his family to say stuff about the club. He hasn't
And
moaned
sorry,
himself.
JJ, do you remember the camaraderie at the end of that game
Yes.
towards Leno?
Yes. Yes.
he had the same
Exactly.
last night. There was no difference last night. It
No.
was
No,
they were
it's
all over Ramsdale.
yeah.
Everyone went to Ramsdale.
There's no problem with him and the lads,
Yeah.
because if you remember, there was the stories coming out that said that some of the lads were very angry at how quick Arteta displaced him because of how big of a character he is in the dressing room.
No, I know. We're
But
going to move on from
again,
Ramsdale,
well, yeah,
and
but football moves on.
it,
Sorry, it's a cutthroat sport, and
I
if you haven't got the minerals to
absolutely,
deal with it, you got to go.
I couldn't agree more, and I trust Arteta absolutely. I would just like to sit down with him and ask him why, and stop saying at the beginning of the season it's going to be rotational, because it isn't. Raya's number one. Raya plays all the games basically that are important, that are in the Premier League, that as you say, we might even see him against Lons. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. It's interesting because when he did make the mistake, who was there on the line to save us? Mr. Declan Rice, who we cannot rave about enough, who I still can't believe that we've got in our team. That I still thank every West Ham fan I work with every week. I walk into work and go, "Thank you for Declan Rice." That is a true thing. Um, I still, I think he's growing every game, Cooks, every single game into near on our captain, isn't he?
It's just hard to think that he can add levels to his game, and he just does. You know, he was playing in the 6 yesterday, and he's predominantly been playing in the 8 the past couple of games. But given how ball dominant we were, he still had that ability to make those maraudering runs going forward, influencing play at both ends of the pitch. You know, making goal line clearances, putting the ball in the box in other instances of the game. Yeah, he's just world class. He's our best player. You know, there's absolutely no getting around it. For me, he's been the best midfielder in the league this season. Just such a disciplined player. Just everything about him is fantastic. I'm not sure he's heading towards being our captain just yet, as lovely as that sounds, just because that would mean displacing Ødegaard's role. But he is, a fantastic player. It just makes me yearn to have Thomas Partey in the side alongside
Oh
him.
God,
But
yeah, we were saying
but
that yesterday.
yeah, I just think that, you know, we've got to stop thinking about that and look towards the next midfielder that can come in and complement Declan Rice, whether that's going to be Zubimendi or Douglas Luiz or whoever, just someone that can come in and just, you know, give us that perfect midfield free of Rice, Ødegaard, and whoever it may be. I'd love it to be Thomas Partey, but I do think after this season we'll probably look to move on from him. But yeah, I can't get enough of Declan Rice. If we keep him fit, I think we've got every chance of winning silverware this season.
So a lot of people in the chat room are saying we robbed them of the fee of 105 million, and we had Declan Rice's youth team coach on, didn't we? Tony Gale's son Anthony, who I remember saying to him, "What are we going to get for 105 million the day after he signed us?" And he went into this whole explanation, and I was like quite excited. But I thought, well, yeah, it's a lot of money, 105 million, JJ, isn't it? Well, I think he's worth 200 million, to be honest. I freaking love him.
Yeah, he's fantastic, isn't he? I don't want to start getting giddy with it, but I have not seen a player that is defensively sound, but then contributes offensively with the way he carries the ball and orchestrates an attack and plays through since Patrick Vieira. I know that's massive to say.
No, I agree.
Because growing up in the era that I grew up in, he was arguably next to Dennis Bergkamp, Tony Adams, and Thierry Henry and Perez, best player I ever watched. Every single week, going up there and watching that man live, I was like, Jesus Christ, what a footballer, Patrick Vieira. And I'm starting to get glimpses with it with Declan Rice, where I'm like, oh my days, like everything you do isn't wasted. Like either you're blocking something on the line that's contributing to us there, or you're pushing people a lot. He's always like doing this. You know, he's organising all the time, even though he hasn't got an armband on. It's like he's the captain. You know, anyway. He doesn't need the armband to be a captain. He just does it. And that's what I think was so important when we did get him, was that, yeah, this is another leader. This is, you know, with Xhaka going, who was classed as a big, you know, whether we liked him or not at times, Xhaka, he had an influence over that dressing room massively. And I think he's just slotted in there and he's got an influence over them in, in all competitions now. 20 games we've played this season? So in 20 games, he's had such a pivotal role.
In every game.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And he's a fantastic footballer. Fantastic.
He's just, he's sublime, isn't he, Cooks? I mean, I don't even want to talk about, God forbid, touch wood, if he gets in. I can't even go there. I don't want to put it out into the universe. But he is awesome. And when he did what he did yesterday, not only saved Ramsdale's bacon, saved our bacon, and of all people to be on the line, you'd want it to be Declan Rice. He just throws everything at it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely does. I don't know what else I can say about the guy, to be honest. Apart from we're very fortunate to have him, and you just bringing up Granit Xhaka makes me want to, you know, think about the possibility of a Xhaka Rice Ødegaard midfield, which would have been absolutely stellar. But yeah, I mean, if we can just find that guy that can sit at the base, sit at number 6, just be that progressive passer, you know, a much younger version of Jorginho with a bit of bite about him, I think we're going to see an even better Declan Rice, whether that be, you know, in the second half of this season or the start of next season. But yeah, just to go back to my previous point, I think we are in such a good position to win silverware with him. I just hope it's one of the big ones.
Yeah. So it wasn't a terrible first half. It was a bit bland. They low blocked. We tried to break them down. I thought some of our players were quite quiet. And then up pops Jesus with a header. I think it was a header. He should have scored. And then Trossard gets on the end of it. And because his left toe was offside or whatever line they drew or whatever it was, we scored. It was disallowed, went to, VAR. Did you think it was, should have been disallowed, JJ?
At the time, no. I was looking at it thinking, unless they've got technology now to see through the boots and see how long his toenails are, then I didn't know why it was disallowed. But my anger after that actually turned to like what you just said, in that Jesus should have scored the original chance. I mean,
Yeah.
he had that other one as well in the first half where he was at that difficult angle, and it was a bit like I know Saka last season when we played against Leeds away. He rifled one from that like angle from there, and he just snatched at it. And I'm like, if he took his time instead of just blasting, he wanted to just put his laces through it, and it just skied over. And that was what annoyed me in the end more, was that it was his lack of finishing. And
Yamara's hit the nail on the head. Jesus has to finish.
he does.
Jesus has to finish. Period.
He
And
does.
I was so gutted. I was gutted we didn't score, but we go in 0-0 at half time. So I'm just going to stop it slightly there for a minute because there is a competition we're running. As you know, we're sponsored by Ruth Beckart, and she has kindly said that if one of you on audio as well goes to her ruthbeckart.com, screenshot the Arsenal print that you want, send it on email to us at sameoldarsenal@gmail.com. Unfortunately, this is only open to UK viewers and listeners at the moment. Send us the pic. We're going to put you into a competition and she's going to send it out to you. Now, I just want to show you a couple of the things that you could possibly win. If you have a look at these wonderful items of hers, look at these prints. I mean, she is such a beautiful artist and a Gooner artist at that. So look at any of these that you could win, and there's many more on her website. So all you got to do, guys and girls, and she's got this for Christmas as well, the gonks that you can buy, and Christmas cards as well. But there's so many other things. So go visit her website, ruthbeckart.com. Screenshot what you want, send it to us on email. Also tell us on what social media platform you follow her, and follow us as well. If you don't, that's fine, but please just send us an email. And then we're going to do a draw next week. Guys, what one would you want if I show you all the different ones? Look at that Emirates picture. How fabulous is that?
I'd probably be going for the I like the tube sign. I think for me, it's a bit rustic. I like a bit of rustic.
Yeah, they look so cool.
I like that overhead sort of drone type picture of Highbury that's got the East Stand upper prominently.
Hold on, which one's that? Is it that one?
That one that's in the bottom left, just there.
She draws all of them. Saka, Erdegaard,
Oh,
Saliba.
Ruth's fantastic. We all know this anyway. Not only as an artist, but also as a person. So we all know how good Ruth is.
Everybody, right? Hold on. What's your email address? Okay, sameoldarsenal@gmail.com. You need to go and visit her website, and then you'll see all the other stuff that she does as well, which is fantastic. Screenshot it, send it to us on email. Obviously, tell us who you are. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, tell us where you follow her as well, and follow us. And then we're going to draw, and someone's going to get a lovely, lovely print in our competition. So that's the first half done with. ruthbeckart.com. Second half. Let me just get rid of these. Sorry, I'm not so good at all these things. There we go. We're back. So second half, JJ, we come out. Ended 0-0. We were okay. I think we were missing parties, we've said before. Bit of creativity. I think we missed Ben White as well and his overlaps. It just felt a little bit flat, unless I was watching a different game to most people. But then Zinny saved us from a mistake of his own.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, in that I think he's improved, because beforehand he makes mistakes like that and he doesn't get himself in the position to sort it out again. But that just goes to show that I think he's more committed. And if you look at it, that mistake comes from him being on the left, but then he vacates his left channel to come and make that block on the right-hand side. And normally there is no way in hell that he would vacate that left space ever. unless he had to, and he did. So yeah, I thought he really, really made up for it. But again, we're going to talk about, obviously in a minute, you're going to talk about the goal and the player that scored it and
Yeah,
everything
of
else
course.
like that. But I want to say, as much as that the Brentford fans were whistling and moaning, sort of indicating that we were time wasting or asking for fouls and everything. They went into a low block from about the second or the third minute. There was a period where we were attacking and they had 8 people in their own box. But I do give them credit, because I quite like Thomas Frank, and he come out and said, well, why would
Yeah.
I go football for football with Arsenal? He went, that's suicidal.
Did you
And
see what Thomas Frank said the day before when he was asked about Arteta's antics on the sidelines? He turned around and went, got no problem with it.
yeah,
He said, I'm no angel. They're
yeah,
trying to feed this narrative that everyone, I don't know what it is, but they've all got an agenda against Arteta. I just don't understand it, if I'm honest. Just does, everyone's in love with Klopp, everyone's in love with Pep, everyone's in love with Ange down the lane. But Arteta, for some reason, they don't, I don't know what it is. I just don't know. But I like
because
Thomas
they
Frank.
don't like us. They never have.
It's ridiculous.
You got to remember that there's a humongous northern bias in terms of media and pundits in this country. And then there's a lot of people in this country that English and British people do things the right way and the better way, and how everything they do is great. And then it took a French person coming into this league, showing them all that the British way probably wasn't the best way, and he can completely change the game. Bear in mind, he changed the game for the better, our lad, for me, in terms of keeping players fitter, the
Yeah.
style of football that he played. And yeah, okay, now you've got Klopp, but they're up north. So of course they love him more because they're up north.
But
And
Spurs isn't.
yeah,
Spurs aren't.
but this is what I don't understand, right? Even when they had Pochettino, they were lauded as being the best club in England, yet they won nothing. But that was the best period of their time. Yet Arsenal were in the worst period of their time in my supporting life. Yet we still won more trophies than them. But yet they were the better team. Make it make sense, Amanda. Please.
I can't.
You're the elder statesman and experienced person here. Make it make sense to me.
I don't know. I mean, during the 70s and 80s, we weren't very good till mid 80s, and then Spurs have always been the darlings, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
We won the double in
They lost 4-1 and got called brave. Are you mad?
Imagine us. I just feel. I don't know why, because we were a really respectable, well-run club. It wasn't though we were ever, whatever. But we're not loved, are we, Cooks? We're just in the media. It's so weird how Gary Neville goes for us. It's, I don't know. I just don't know. But it was nice to see Franks come out and say that, because they tried to goad him and he wasn't having it. And I actually think Arteta's quite respected in the game. I do. I think he really is respected in the game, because he's trying to run this club to his way, his standards, and I love him. I'm a curious on the Ramsdale thing at the beginning, but I'm not the manager. I thought Saka was pretty quiet. I thought a lot of them were pretty quiet. I never were worried by Brentford, Cookie. But I just thought, please don't tell me this is going to be 0-0, especially after City and Liverpool did the exact result we wanted of a draw. That it's not about being top. We know being top at the end of November means nothing. Being top middle of May means everything. It's lovely to be there, and let's keep the momentum going. But we've been here before, haven't we?
Yeah, many a time. And just touching back on what you were talking about previously with regards to Thomas Frank, there was one other quote that was, as that's come out from him today, when a really rubbish journalist put a question to him about the Arsenal players celebrating at the end of the game like they've won the World Cup, which is a very over-the-top statement from that particular journalist. But I love Thomas Frank just completely quashing that and saying, why wouldn't you essentially celebrate a last-minute winner? He's gutted that it's come against him, but if they'd have scored a last-minute winner, he would expect his players to celebrate it. I think Thomas Frank is a top bloke. I think he's a great manager as well, and I think Brentford are a really good team. So I've got a hell of a lot of respect for the team, got a lot of respect for Thomas Frank, and I think he could definitely be on his way to a bigger job potentially next season, because he is a very good manager. And I think relating back to the style of play that we're maybe seeing from Arsenal is down to the style of play that we're seeing from the teams we're coming up against. If you look at our away games, they are very gritty, very, very much having to get stuck in, score goals, and be clinical when we can be. But if we don't score early, then that just drags on and on and on and on when you're playing against a low block. You look at Brentford's chances yesterday; they just came from our mistakes. There was nothing else from Brentford, that caused us any problems whatsoever. They had the Mbuemo chance, they had the Mope chance, but apart from that, that was it. And those were chances that we gave them, because teams are just sitting in their own half. And you could be the best team in the world, but unless you score very, very early, which, as we know, doesn't always happen, it's very difficult to break those teams down. So I don't think it's necessarily us playing slowly or badly or being even more patient. I just think teams last season were a lot more confident about playing Arsenal, because I think all three of us would admit that going away from home has not been an easy thing for us in years gone by. Like, we've been used to going to places like Stoke and getting turned over, whereas that isn't really the case anymore. Like, last season, we showed that we can go to any ground in the league and put on a show and put on a performance and score goals, whereas teams are wising up to that now. And if they know if they play attacking, expansive football, we've got the likes of Jesus, Saka, Trossard, Ødegaard, even Kai Havertz now that can exploit those spaces and create opportunities. So I think that's a big part of it. And where was I going with this? What was your question, Amanda?
I don't know.
No,
I don't even know. We were talking about Thomas Frank, and we were talking about why we're hated. But I also, before I forget, Cookie, because this is something that I even tweeted and so many agreed with, how good was the referee yesterday? You know what? And I will talk about our time wasting. What was we doing on those corners? We sat there for about 5 minutes. I don't actually know what's going on. It was the
and the
first
corners
match.
were rubbish after.
Yeah,
I'm like, if
every
you're gonna
corner was rubbish.
if you're gonna do that, at least take a corner that's worth
I
mucking
know.
around for. But they
I
were
thought
they were shocking
I
yesterday.
thought I didn't understand what was going on, and people have been saying, "Oh, last couple of games we've done that." I've never noticed any time wasting at any throw-ins, corners, set plays, nothing. But what I will say, what I loved about this ref, and I think we give refs a hard time every single game with VAR and everything, that sometimes you need to praise them. He went up to Ødegaard and said, if you carry on doing this, someone's going to get booked. Now, that is what you want a referee to do. That is what a captain's for. Now, if Ødegaard nodded and said, fair enough, we still carried on doing it slightly. But I really, really respected the ref. He didn't do any drama yesterday. It wasn't anything about him. He let the game flow. I didn't think there was anything that he sort of missed. I just felt that I wish more referees would do that, JJ, that go up to the captain and go, one more, and your player's getting booked. So that is what a captain's for.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look at the goal that was disallowed as well, you watch Arteta, he knows that he's potentially facing a ban. So I thought his reaction was, it did make me laugh, because they did pan straight to him thinking he's going to go rage now, but he was very much like, okay. It was like, I think we're going to agree to disagree, but I'm not going to. His face showed what he wanted to be like, but his body was completely different. Like, the face was brilliant. It was very much like, you've robbed me there again, but I'm gonna keep stum, and I'm going to go about my business. But one thing I will say about Arteta as well this season, I think it flashed up on Match of the Day yesterday, but I can't remember because, like I said, my brain's a sieve as well. But I think we're tied with Brighton, is it, that we've got 10 goals from the bench this season? We've got the most goal scorers that have come on as subs, I think, with Brighton, with 10 goals.
I was just going to ask Cooks this, funny enough. I was going to mention this, JJ. Thank you for leading me into it. Cookie, Arteta's substitutes seem to be proving amazing when they're coming off the bench. So going on JJ's stat, he just seems to do it at the right time. And let's just start to talk about what happened yesterday. So I was sitting there thinking, he needs to bring a sub on. We can't, we're not going to lose this. I didn't fear we were going to lose, but we need to win it. And nothing was going right. Nothing was flowing or anything. And then Havertz gets changed, and someone else. I mean, quite a few came on at different periods, but I tweeted that Havertz was going to score a last-minute winner. Now, I'm not mystic. I'm crap at predictions. I've got everything wrong. I just had this little feeling, because it's been going on week after week after week. Everyone goes, "Yeah, Havertz is going to score," and I'm going, "No, he's not." I tweeted, "He's going to score in the last minute," and up he pops. And could you have wanted anyone else in our team, Cooks, to score that goal? Anyone, apart from Ramsdale, maybe? Havertz.
Well, what I will say is I'm elated he scored it for him, but even more so because, boy, would the pitchforks have been out for Eddie Nketiah. Because, wow, did he make a mess of that
Yeah,
chance that he had.
yeah,
I mean,
agree.
when I saw us attacking and we had like a 3-on-2 situation and he went for the shot when he's got, was it Erdegaard right in the middle, like, arms outstretched for the ball, or whoever it was in the middle. And he goes for the shot. I just couldn't quite get my head around what his thinking was there, and such a tame effort as well at that. And his performance when he came on. I mean, we've got to have a serious think about what he offers to us away from home, because off the bench, starting, really poor. Really, really poor. So disappointed with his performance, but I thought Kai Havertz was absolutely fantastic when he came on. This is the exact sort of game he needed, and he only had 10 minutes of normal time to make an impact, but boy, did he make an impact. It wasn't just that goal, but just the way he influenced play, changed the dynamic absolutely, completely. And I mean, it's a world-class cross from Bukayo Saka. It's a world-class moment from the two of them, really. The cross is
Yeah.
fantastic, but for him to have the awareness to be in that position, to make that run, to plant it, down so the goalkeeper isn't going to get a chance at it, and it goes through his legs. I'm elated for him, and he needed a moment exactly like that. He didn't need, a penalty handed to him, which, he scores in a game that's already won. He needed a defining moment, and this was a game that, a 0-0 draw, people would have been really frustrated at that, because it's an opportunity for us to go top of the league. But let's not forget, Brentford are a side that are, in my opinion, very good at home. They're not an easy team to beat. They will 100% take points off our rivals. They've already taken points off the likes of Spurs this season, and I'm pretty sure other big sides are going to go to the GTech and struggle. You've only got to look at what they did to Man United there last season. I mean, they are a very good team at home under Thomas Frank. So to go there and win, albeit 1-0, and we've done it in the last minute of normal time, is an unbelievable result. It's a really good result, and it shouldn't be underestimated. And I think we deserve that win. Brentford had their chances to get it, of our own making. I mean, Thomas Frank was quite right in his post-match interview in saying that, it's a game that either team could have won. But if you just look at all the statistics, we dominated that game. If it was purely based on paper, we deserved to win that game. But for Kai Havertz to be the difference maker, that should be a galvanizing moment. And now I think you start him against Lens and you give him an opportunity to do something again. Whether it doesn't even have to be a goal or assist for me, just have a good performance. And then maybe, we play him in that game at home to Wolves next weekend. I really hope this is the start of Kai Havertz's career at Arsenal, because that was a big, big moment for him. And I couldn't be happier.
So I agree. But JJ, I don't think he's been playing that badly. Do you, Havertz?
Oh, yeah, he's been dreadful.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think he's been dreadful.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, yes. Yeah, the game against Burnley, he basically messed up like quarter of the attacks that we had in that first half, just for the fact that he was playing in Timberlands instead of football boots. So heavy, so clunky. But now, now you want him to, come on then. Let's go. Let's see it. Everything he did yesterday, his movement and everything was brilliant. And it's like I said earlier, when you're put in, show out, show us something. And he did. So now he's got to kick on and show us it again. And and on Tuesday night, I want him to start up front. I want him to be the striker on Tuesday night.
Well, will we play Tuesday? It's Wednesday,
Sorry, Wednesday.
JJ. Don't tell everyone it's Tuesday. They'll all turn up Tuesday.
Well, yeah, it's Tuesday if you're watching, if you can
right,
speed through time.
Do you know what? Weirdly, normally everyone agrees with you. People think you're wrong. They don't think he's been playing that badly.
Yeah, but I say it as I see it. SAS.
Absolutely, I don't.
That's how I am.
Say it as I see it.
Yeah, SAS.
Like my nemesis. I love you.
Someone has to.
So we score. The crowd go mental and don't stop singing that song. And Shakira actually put Arsenal in her story on Instagram. It is so fantastic. I love the song. I think it's brilliant. And I think when you see at the end of the game, Arteta's got him in a headlock and takes him to the Arsenal fans, he doesn't need to bring him to us. We've supported him anyway. It's the press and the other rival fans that have not. But it's just Cooks, it was such an amazing feeling, wasn't it, when he scored? And I agree with you on Eddie. I was a bit concerning about that. But we go 1-0 up, and then I wasn't even plutzing. Normally I plutz for about 5 minutes because we've got enough time to then cock it all up. But yeah, I think fully deserved. 1-0 at the GTech. We move on. Liverpool, Man City drew, which meant we went top. Tottenham attempted to beat Aston Villa with about 17 chances today that they could only put away one. And I thought Villa just took their chances really well. And and then obviously Man United won, but it's been a good weekend, boys, isn't it, for us?
Yeah, I mean, very quickly, I know this is going a bit off topic, but that Aston Villa game I think is going to be really interesting because I know that's still a few weeks away yet, but we're coming up against teams away from home that traditionally are low blocking us. And I don't think we've faced a side away yet that has come out and been expansive. Even, at home at the Emirates, we've not seen sides do that. Whereas I'm quite used to us going to any kind of ground in the Premier League and then blitzing us, whether it's, bottom of the league, whether it's, a team in mid-table. So I don't really know what to expect from Aston Villa because they do not strike me as a side under Unai Emery that will sit back.
They won't.
Yeah, I fully expect them to come at us. So I think that could be
if we're on our
great
game, it'll be if we're on our game.
If we defend like we have been, this season, then, I'm not saying that we'll keep a clean sheet in that game. They've got some fantastic players going forward, but we'll have opportunities to score goals 100%, 110%.
It's Unai Emery. Of course, there's going to be opportunity to score goals.
Yeah,
we saw it with our own. Well, we saw it. We all remember Watford away. Let's not forget.
Yes.
So
yes, we do.
Yeah, and just quick as well on Havertz, I'll say as well.
Here we go.
He got a massive assist against Man City for Martinelli when looked like that was going to be a 0-0, and he got a massive. So yeah, he turned what was 2 points into 6 points. So yeah, I'll give him I'll give him the props for that. But overall, has he been amazing? No, but this could be.
I didn't say amazing. I said I don't think he's been as bad as you're making out. That's all. I think he's done a lot of work, a lot of leg work.
Let's kick on. I'm happy for the lad.
He's only been here a couple of months.
No, he's played in this league. I'm not having that he's new. He's been in this league for ages.
When Perez joined us, he was terrible.
But he was brand new.
Oh,
he'd never been in this league, but he'd never been in the country before. This guy's been here for ages.
So if you go to a new office job and it doesn't work out, and the first couple of months, it's tough.
If my auntie had bollocks, she'd be my uncle.
Some people take time to bed in. Maybe his confidence was low. Oh, anyway, moving on. Everybody, if you'd like to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, and on audio, if you wouldn't mind rating us, that means we get out further, apparently. I'm not really IT-fied, but we really appreciate you all on audio listening to us. One of our listeners, unfortunately, is in hospital, so I want to do a big shout out to our lovely Jobo, Giovanna, been very poorly and apparently wanted to watch us tonight, but the hospital Wi-Fi wasn't up to it. So she's going to listen to us when we get home. So get well soon, my lovely, and thank you for your constant support. I'm going to go to some questions now. Okay, let's just see what we've got, and then we'll talk about the next upcoming games. Kevin Harold did say on the last podcast that I had a sneaky feeling Havertz would score a few crucial goals this season. Oh, I'm up for that. I'm all for that. Thank you for that.
That's what he did at Chelsea.
Statement. Fabulous. Right. Let's just ask this question. January transfer market, not far from being open, I suppose. Need a striker in January big time. Yes or no, Cooks? From Sam Hickwell.
I mean, everyone's talking about striker. It's not top of the list for me. I think we need a midfielder before we need to look at a striker. I'd love a striker. Are you realistically going to sign your big striker in January? I don't think so. Can you accelerate that midfield signing in January? Quite possibly. So if there's any kind of sign that we can get that midfield guy in that can be the new Partey that will complement Declan Rice, I would love to see us do that. But I think we've also got to be quite realistic about what we can do in January. We all know how it went last year with Mudryk, and we ended up with Trossard. So there's going to be twists, turns, but we've got the pulling power now. And if we're in a really strong position again, players will want to come to us. So for me, midfielder first, striker in the summer.
JJ?
Yeah, Cookie summed it up perfectly. You can just get Cookie's voice on tape and play it again.
Thank you, Sam Hipwell. It's a bit of a different question here, but we like to be a bit different. Carl said, question, given that loans between clubs under multi-club ownership are now allowed, should the Cronkies be looking to purchase another club in Europe to enable us to cheat FFP as well?
I absolutely love Carl, and he knows I love him. But I would rather the Cronkies invest in Arsenal than buy another club, and because you know what will happen, we'll be the ones that do cheat it this way, and then we'll get done because it's us. So yeah, I'd rather be as clean and transparent as we possibly can, and then win what we need to win that way. Because not only then can we go, yeah, we've won it. We can go, yeah, but we've won it without cheating like you lot have.
There's a lot of
I
things.
mean, Amanda, you know what I'm like with Scousers anyway. They baffle me. But them lot today at Everton were an absolute shambles. I'm like, you protested to get your owners out, and yet the league has deducted you points because your owners are rubbish, like you've agreed to.
Right.
And yet you're lifting all these cards and having all that. Yes, Man City and Chelsea have been worse than you, but you writ off 180 million quid and then still breached FFP. So you deserve what you've got. You deserve what you've got given to you.
So
Sorry,
Cole's got a question for you, JJ, and I'll ask Cooks as well. Was the 10 points deduction for Everton fair punishment for breaking FFP rules?
yes.
And how many leagues down are City and Chelsea going to be relegated to?
We'll find out.
So you think 10 points was fair?
Yeah, they broke the rules. You break the rules, you're going to get punished. That's in any line of life.
Absolutely, but why 10? Why not? Why? I feel it was quite harsh, if
That's
I'm
just
honest.
how it is.
Because you know
Like
what's
I
going to
said to
happen
you,
to
they
City
writ
and
off
Chelsea.
180 million quid and still broke FFP. That's mental.
Okay. Cooks, do you think it was fair?
I mean, look, if they've broken the law, then yes. And the reason I think their charge has come around a lot more swiftly than the City and Chelsea charges, the pending charges, have come about is because there was just that singular one with Everton, whereas City and Chelsea have multiple. I didn't actually realise how long the City ones have been going on for. I mean, it's way, way, way longer than we've been aware of. You know, it's been going on for like the best part of a decade. So I don't think there's going to be any swift resolution. But when there is that time to shed light on it, then they could be in real trouble, like serious trouble. Several relegations potentially. But whether we see that in our lifetimes, who knows? And you could say the same about Chelsea, but it does feel very harsh on Everton in the sense that, they're going to feel a little bit aggrieved that City and Chelsea aren't facing punishment yet, who arguably have done much worse things and are winning trophies in the time that they've done it. Whereas Everton, face this charge and are now potentially staring down the barrel of a very realistic threat of relegation. For what it's worth, I think they could be okay this season. I think they were playing really well before this happens, albeit with a team that is very patched up, with Ashley Young at right back, and, they brought in Jack Harrison from Leeds, who I think is a good player, but their team is very mismatched. But they should have put United to bed in that first half today. I don't know if anyone watched it, but United get that opening goal through Garnacho, then Everton have about 9 chances to win that game, and then they just fall apart in the second half. I think with Sean Dyche at the helm, I think they could be okay. But as an Evertonian, you feel hard done by.
I thought they were going to beat United, so I thought it was going to galvanise them and everything. I was convinced all week. It didn't happen. Let's lighten it up a little bit. John Rowe, do you think it's now a 3-team race for the title? Cookie?
I still think it's too early to say, to be honest. I think Liverpool look very good. City are going to be there or thereabouts. We know that for a fact. I don't think Spurs are going to be there, unfortunately for them. I mean, we're seeing, the effects of those injuries that they're having now, just with that lack of depth. They're just not able to do what they were doing earlier on in the season. I always think it was going to be inevitable that honeymoon period would come to an end at some point, and we're seeing that now. I don't see United competing for the title. So who else is there? I mean, you've got Villa and Newcastle. I mean, you've got 3 teams at the minute that are going for it. I do think one of them will fall away, and I think it will be either us or Liverpool.
Right. Go on, JJ.
Well, answer this one.
Yeah.
I think eventually, however, it might take a very, very, very long time. Because again, like I went to with what I said earlier. A lot of people here in this country and in this league think because we're English and we're British, we do the best compared to everybody else. The German league has been tainted before with like scandal. Spanish league has been tainted before with scandal. The French and the Italian ones, let's not even get into it. But we've always said that our league is the best. Our league's clean. Our league doesn't have anything like this. And the fact that Chelsea and City have so many titles, if that is then proven to be shown that they've won them by nefarious means, that means that our league is no longer clean. And I don't think the Premier League would like that situation to happen. However, it has to happen. So I do believe eventually that they will, I do believe they will be charged with something and they will potentially be deducted points. Will they be expelled from the league? I don't know. But I do believe eventually their time will come.
And the 3-team race one question.
Yes, I agree. I think
What, us, Liverpool and City?
Yeah, but we've got to wait and see what happens. January, you got Asia Cup as well as African Cup of Nations. Liverpool losing Salah. I know they've got Diaz. I know they've got other players. Jota
there is just the one game in January, though.
Yeah.
So not a lot.
No.
Why is there only one game?
Because I think they gave an extended break because if you look at it, most of the top clubs, all of their players for 14 months solid have been playing football, which is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, a lot of what contributed yesterday, and I know they're all professional athletes and everything else, but it's like you said earlier, they're not robots, they're human.
Yeah.
That was a team that was knackered because they've been playing stupid bloody international games. Oh, but they're qualifiers for tournaments, James. Yeah,
I don't even watch them.
Yeah,
I don't watch them.
put Championship or League One or League Two players in it. Because if you can't beat North Macedonia without Saka and all them in your team, you really are as rubbish as I think you are.
Okay, so we've got Lons on Wednesday night. Let's do some predictions for Lons and Wolves. So, boys, I'll come to you first, JJ. Let's do Lons for you and Wolves for you. What do you reckon?
Okay, 2-1 Arsenal against Lons.
Lons.
Trossard will score.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's see. I'll write that down in my book.
Yeah.
And Wolves.
And then 3-0 Arsenal against Wolves, and Martin Odegaard will get a goal back in that one, which will kick him on again, which we need because he's a brilliant footballer and I love him.
Cookie?
Lons, I'm going big. I think we could win that game 4-0. I think it could be similar to the PSV game. Get an early goal. I think we could do it. Gutted not to be at that game, by the way. It's first game at the Emirates I'm missing this season. Yeah, bloody work getting in the way. Here we are. And Wolves, I'm going 2-0.
Sorry, so 2-0 Wolves. And what was Lons?
4-0.
4-0. Right, I'm going 2-0 Lons. And I'm going 2-1 Wolves at home on Saturday. All positive. That's all positive stuff, isn't it? Before we finish, I would like to say, just to add on to the Ruth Beckhart thing, when you email us, because we've already had an email, by the way, while we've been on air, you need to tell us who you follow on social media, where you follow us, if it's Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or wherever, and for Ruth as well, that'd be great. I would just like to mention, because obviously some sad news came out this afternoon that Terry Venables had passed away at the age of 80, and it brought back a few memories for me because I met him back in 1985, it has to be, when I was 16, 17. I was friendly with one of his daughters, and I know this is amazing to even think, but when he was QPR manager, I went to QPR with him and sat in a box with him in the first half of a game, and he never said a word. I was a junior gunner at the time. He used to take the mickey out of me for being a junior gunner. I sat with the manager in a box. I mean, when you think about this, and then second half he went downstairs. I met David Seaman that day before he was even a twinkle in Arsenal's eye. I remember looking up going, oh, wow, he's so tall. I didn't really know who he was because he was goalkeeper for QPR. So he wasn't really on my wavelength. And he was always really, really lovely to me. Very, very charismatic, very funny, lovely guy. Loved his family, and, quite sad to hear the passing today. I know he managed that lot. I do get that, but he was always great. And when my dad turned up to pick me up one day, my dad walked in and went, so when you're going to manage the Arsenal, because it was in the papers that he was going to. And he looked back at my dad and said, "And when are you going to manage the Arsenal?" He wouldn't answer, obviously. I was so embarrassed. I went, "Dad, stop it." I was only 16, 17 at the time. But may he rest in peace. He was always very good to me, and it's sad news. So that's how we're going to end the podcast tonight. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat room on audio for joining us. It's been a good weekend for football for the Arsenal. Let's continue it against Lons. JJ, thank you as ever for joining us.
Thank you for asking. Pleasure.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, if I didn't upset you all by saying what I said about Havertz earlier and you still want to listen to me, at LL Cool James 91 on Twitter. All the links and everything are on there if you want to listen to me more.
And tell it, what about your podcast you're on?
Yeah, it's all like I said, it's all on there and the links are on there. So yeah, there's Purely Arsenal and then there's the James Johnstone Football Channel if you want to watch that as well. It's entirely up to you guys.
Look, you haven't upset anybody. You can't upset anyone.
I can. You don't see the responses I get on. You know.
Oh, do you? Oh, don't worry about social media. That's for sure.
Neither do I. So after the reason I do it, makes me laugh.
It is funny.
People's tears hydrate me, Amanda.
I know. Cookie, tell everyone where they can find you.
Just any bin behind the back of a restaurant, I'll be there. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JECook96. Yeah.
Is that what Too Good To Go's like where you live? You just go in the bins.
That's just my life, mate. You know, it's been a tough year. Economy's difficult, you know.
Oh, God forbid.
Connect with me on Twitter, guys. We'll have a great time.
Yeah, connect with J Cook. What's your J Cook? Oh, I don't know. J Cook on Twitter.
It's there. It's there.
Of course,
it's right in front of your eyes.
J Cook 96. I wasn't far off. Thanks for joining us, everyone. If you could like and subscribe on the way out, that'd be fabulous. We will be back next weekend. Don't know if it's Saturday or Sunday, but just subscribe and you'll be told. Appreciate each and every one of your comments on Twitter, our Facebook, and our Instagram. Please go and follow us on Instagram. And what can I say, as I always do? Always Arsenal. Good night, everyone.